Hello, everyone, and welcome into our ESPN FC studios for this edition of the show, where just moments ago, the U.S. men's national team have officially booked their spot in the round of 32 of this World Cup. I'm Alexis, and speaking of the U.S. men's national team, I got two former players here with me, Herculez and Jermaine Jones. Plus, we have a World Cup winner himself and former U.S. men's national team coach, Jürgen Klinsmann. We also have even more U.S. men's national team former players joining us later on. We'll reveal who they are in a bit. But as I said, job has been done. No Christian Pulisic, no problem for the USA as they dismantled Australia by 2-0. They benefited from an own goal with just 11 minutes on the clock. Then Alex Freeman found the back of the net in the 43rd minute. It had to be checked because it was originally flagged for offside. VAR came in and showed that he was very much onside, and that absolutely confirmed the win for the USA. Here are scenes from the watch party over in Houston, Texas, when the goals went in for the USA, as this was just one of, no doubt, many celebrations across the country, making this a very happy Friday for all of the fans of the Star-Spangled Banner. Right, remember when I said we have more former U.S. men's national team players joining us? Well, we have Geoff and Brek Shae joining us as well, live from Houston, Texas. Geoff and Brek, I'm going to start with you on this one. I guess we forget about what we were all saying in the pre-match about Australia, how this was going to be a physical test, a mental test. The USA have passed with flying colors. Geoff, let me start with you. What impressed you the most about this win?
I think we were resilient. From the first moment on, we stayed compact, we had our composure. You know, it was just about time. We created an own goal the first match. We created another own goal here today. We need that luck, and I think that's going to pay tribute throughout the rest of the tournament. But for me, we worked together as a team. We dictated the tempo, and really it was just us in control all night.
Brek, what stood out to you as well? Because like I said, we were expecting much more of a challenge from Australia, but the USA were able to nullify all of that.
Yes, like Geoff talks about, we created our own luck by being dynamic and taking players on. You saw Balogun shift to the left and beat his player to the byline, and he just makes that goal happen by being dangerous. It's hard for a defender running at your own goal like that, and credit to him for that, and Pepe making that run. All around, a great performance. They grinded it out, and it was a rough one, but it was awesome to watch.
Awesome to watch indeed, and I'm sure Mauricio Pochettino will be very happy with what he saw from his team again in back-to-back matches. Jürgen, how would he be feeling about this win? Like I said, we talked about how much of a test this was going to be for the USA. There were some concerns considering they had to go into it without their star man in Christian Pulisic, but in the end, as I said, passing with flying colors.
Absolutely. I mean, he will be thrilled. He will be super happy, as is the whole team and obviously the whole country. I mean, this is a big deal now. This win is a big deal. It takes you directly into the knockout phase, and you can experiment in your third game if you want to do so. You can test things out. But the way they handled the entire game from the beginning on, from the first second on, how they forced their own goal, you know, how they put them under pressure, how they were ready for every one-against-one battle, and they were focused. They were in it the entire 90 minutes. I mean, Australia never gave you a feeling that they can really score a goal or even two, because the US didn't allow them the circumstances. And this is fantastic. I mean, this is awesome for the upcoming next couple of games. This is should give them a lot of confidence. It should give the backline a lot of confidence, because you played to nil. The goalkeeper, the backline, it couldn't have been done any better.
Is that how you see it too, Herc? Couldn't have been better?
It could absolutely be better. 65 very good minutes where the U.S. men's national team is very intense. Exactly how they did against Paraguay. The intention was there in how they recovered the ball, how they pressed the opponent, how they made themselves compact, how Tyler Adams always protected the back line. It all of a sudden became a line of three, allowing Alex Freeman or Anthony Robinson to fill in those voids down the flanks where they attacked at will. They were very good down the flanks. The movement from Weston McKennie, Malik Tillman, just like we saw against Paraguay, was very fluid, very ever-going. They constantly found spaces, created those spaces for themselves. Geoff and Brek are correct about the luck that the U.S. men's national creates because of how they take advantage of these flanks plays. And we can see right there, they were very good on the outsides through these flanks. But it was good 65 minutes of football. And after that, you saw the U.S. men's national team drop its intensity, and it's always going to be very difficult to maintain 90 minutes of intensity. And while the barometer may say 75, 80 degrees, if you're on this pitch under the sun in a noon game, the field starts drying up, the ball rolls slower, the intensity slows down, fatigue sets in. We saw the referee cramping, for God's sake.
Yeah.
It's normal that you're going to have that drop in intensity. But in that drop of intensity, they allowed Australia to come back into the game. And while I agree that there was nothing really for Matt Freese to do, there were a lot of nervy moments in the last 20 minutes of this game. Australia grew into the confidence. And while we maybe didn't expect Australia to not be this much of an opponent in terms of football, and I think Tony Popovich, their coach, has a lot to do with that. Jermaine and I were talking about how could you leave your goal scorer, Arankunda, from the first match against Turkey, your only deep threat, on the bench. Connor Metcalf as well, who scores a second goal. They're both on the bench. Sometimes they just get too cute. By the time they're in this game, they start growing in that confidence, and they're back in it. They feel like they can come out and play, but they're always made it a fight.
Yeah.
At times, it was a wrestling match by certain players of the U.S. men's national team and certain players of Australia, but then you knew you had to suffer, and Jürgen always said this as a coach, the ability to suffer. And that's what the U.S. men's national team did, and it was a good, hard-fought 3 points.
Good hard-fought 3 points. JJ, I'm going to let you in a bit, but we have to go back down to Houston where we have Brek and Geoff because we know that we have to let you guys go. Sports Center seem to want you. We're going to have to fight them for you these days. But Geoff, once again, let me start with you. Just final thoughts on what we saw from the U.S., especially now that they have already advanced to the next round. They must be filled with confidence then, and what we can probably expect from how they may line up against Turkey in the final one.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to give opportunity for other players to step in. Obviously, Tyler Adams is on 2 yellow, so you can rest some players so they don't pick up another yellow. But for me, the Balogun, Pepe, they were unselfish. They made a lot of runs today, the backtracking, the defending as a team. But more importantly, I saw the belief. The guys stepping in, working together as one. Guy got tapped, everybody one another. And for me, that's a powerful thing. Us going into our next game, that confidence, that belief, hey, we can dream. And we're hosting the World Cup, so let's dream big.
Dream big. Brek, how big are you dreaming? What we saying, quarterfinals the way the U.S. are looking this good?
It's been fun to watch. I mean, they set out, you gotta win your first game, right? And now we've qualified for the next round. It's been a joy to watch. They played pretty, they played ugly, they fought. Just everyone fighting for each other. You see the ball turn over, the first guy to press, and then there's someone behind him. But for me, it's being smart, maybe rotating a few guys, getting some guys on the bench who are going to help us in the later rounds, getting them some minutes and some confidence. And why not dream big? We can go all the way, and until we don't, we can.
Ooh, all the way. We love the confidence, guys. Geoff, Brek, thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch up with you soon. And remember, you can catch these guys on Sports Center, as I'm sure there's going to be plenty reaction to what we just saw from the U.S. men's national team. Thanks, guys. JJ, let me let you in now, too. As we just heard from Brek, we've seen the USA do it pretty and get a win. We've seen them do it ugly and get a win. 2 back-to-back wins. What's impressed you the most about what we saw today?
I would say altogether, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. I think we saw 45 minutes in the first game, really good one. Now we saw 60 minutes, really good. And you have your best player not playing. So but I'm still, we can talk about luck that the other teams scored their own goals. I would say that's not luck. That's the situation of the team is pushing the people or the teams in that moments to make that mistakes. I think that we see a team what is growing into a tournament. We had 2 different phases. Today it was clear that we will face a team who tries to get in our head, try to get us on their side to play a physical game. But I think the guys did it pretty good over the, I would say, 60, 65 minutes. We did it pretty good. I think then it plays in conditions and all that stuff that the players get a little bit maybe tired. The other team is throwing people in front. They're risking more, and but still they're kept to 0. That's important. And now you go to the next game, and you will look what happened with Turkey today.
Yeah, exactly, because now the USA can officially top the group if Paraguay managed to beat Turkey, or if that game just ends in a draw. So either way, the USA in a very favorable position now. Jürgen, of course, Herc just mentioned the fact that, we did see about 60-65 good, intense minutes from the USA. Chris Richards keeps talking about how they don't want to let off until that final whistle is blown. Are you concerned any at all that they're not able to keep that intensity for the full 90?
No, I'm not concerned. I mean, this is totally up to the guys and to the coaching staff, to keep that intensity going, to keep that energy high, and keep on even growing. I mean, obviously we said about the fantastic 45 minutes against Paraguay, the best we've seen in decades. And now today, very good performance, 60-65 minutes. And absolutely, you're going to get tired. Absolutely, the opponent risks more and goes then forward. And so you're on the right track, but you're still developing. You're still developing as a group right now. And now you can kind of take it a bit easier with Turkey, obviously. You already qualified for the next round. And everything is going your way. So this is the moment now you can give some minutes to other players that you need maybe later on in the tournament, as Brek said. That's a very good thought. And I mean, it can only get better. And I think the believing part is huge, I mean, who would have said that you start in this World Cup with 2 wins right away? I mean, 2 convincing wins right away. I mean, this is already fantastic, but now it can only get better. I mean, this is creating an enormous amount of energy in the country, everywhere, with the fans, within the team environment, with their families, with everybody says, hey, why not dreaming big? Absolutely, because once you get in the knockout phase, it's one game at a time. And if they play with that intensity, if they stay with their feet on the ground, which I'm convinced they will do, then anything, absolutely anything is possible.
Herc, last week, this time, of course, when the USA got that big win over Paraguay, and we did talk a lot about the fact that the Paraguay that we expected simply didn't show up. We were sitting down watching, and I think it's safe to say that the Australia we expected didn't really show up today. And you said, we don't want to do a disservice to the US and take away from their win, but based on what we have seen from these 2 opponents now, how much do we read into just the fact that they did not really show up?
I think they didn't show up because the U.S. men's national team didn't allow them to show up. Jürgen said the same thing in both pregame shows, and it registered with me about an early goal for the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah.
Now that was key. And both times Jürgen said it happened. And it's key. Why? Because these are teams that have a defensive posture. So when you score early, what they need to do now is come out of their shell. They need to now risk and go forward. And when they do that, there's going to be more spaces afforded to you because they're going to leave. They're going to risk. So there's going to be more 1v1 situations, whether on the flanks or through the middle. And that was the case in both games. So we can sit here and say Paraguay didn't show up. Paraguay didn't show up because they allowed 4 goals.
Yeah.
It's a team that was better than 4 goals to the United States men's national during the World Cup qualifying. Australia didn't show up, in quotations. I'm not so sure. I think Australia is who we thought they were. The U.S. just put them in some positions where if you're facing your own net and the ball comes across you, more often than not, that mistake's going to happen, and it's going to end up in your own net. After that, they got their second goal, and then it was just too much. I see clear advantages that this U.S. men's national team has to a lot of teams in this tournament. So I'm not going to make less of a win versus Paraguay and a win versus Australia because we think the opponents are easy. Physically, this U.S. team is as capable as any team in this tournament. Any team. The intensity they play, at which the pace they play at, and the cohesion that they have shown, and the way that Mauricio Pochettino all of a sudden has this midfield playing where you don't know who to mark and where to go. They're ever fluid. They've got a very good chance where if they can maintain a pace for longer periods throughout these games, they're going to compete with a lot of different teams. So I wouldn't hold too much stock of this is Paraguay, this is Australia. No, I think the U.S. created those situations and put them in there.
You can only beat who's in front of you, right?
Say it again?
You can only beat who's in front of you.
Yeah, and I think that's the let's say it this way, that you, as a player, you go always on the field and you don't care who you're playing. You have respect for the opponent who is in front of you, but then you go in and it starts by 0-0 and you play against 11 other guys. So you see what you get out of it. As a coach, of course, you look at the way that you say that similar, right? That you go into it and you say too, like we set up, and I think they have a coach who's really good in setting up and in having an idea how he wants to play. And I think that's what surprised us all, because you see the rotation, the movement they do, and how comfortable they play in that movement. And I think that's what makes us all now believe and hope for more. And I'm always somebody, like Jürgen said, you try to get out of the group stage, and you try to get there. You're confident, and you build it game for game. And then when you come out of there, you face every game, and you take game by game. And like I said before, the game is 90 minutes, and it comes down who has the better day.